A postponed March break for students in Ontario, but a promise of a week off in April. Tonight, we look at what that means for families here in Windsor-Essex. A big push to buy local from Black-owned businesses. 2 weeks in, that campaign is paying off. Live look outside now with the ice on the river, the sun setting, crunch of snow on the ground, feeling cold though. -12 out there right now with the wind chill. Collect Kennedy joins us with the full forecast tonight. I'm Chris Ensing, thanks for joining us. A single new case of COVID-19 has put officials on alert here in Windsor-Essex. The health unit says that lab testing has now confirmed a new variant of COVID-19 in the region. CBC's Dan Takema joins us now in studio. Dan, what can you tell us about this?
Well, Chris, health officials say it was just a matter of time until a variant appeared here. Experts tell me it's normal for viruses to mutate over time, which can sometimes change the way they act. For example, the common virus, like the flu, they change frequently. And we don't know what strain of the virus is here, but when it comes to COVID-19, the two most prominent variants are B117, which is found in the UK and appears to be more transmissible. There's also B1351, which was first found in South Africa, and it may be more resistant to some vaccines. Now, it's a first for Windsor-Essex, but it's far from the first variant to be found in Ontario. 12 other health units have reported cases, including more than 24 each in Toronto and York, and 130 in Simcoe, Muskoka. Health officials here say this underlines the need to continue following measures like hand washing and wearing a mask in public.
Given how effective and efficient these new variants transmit, it becomes even more important for us to double down on those public health measures. Where we used to say that it was 15 minutes of contact that could cause the virus to pass from one person to another, we now know with these variants it's a matter of seconds or even a few minutes.
Dan, we're about to reopen parts of Windsor-Essex on Tuesday. Do we have to change anything around that?
It's a good question. I spoke with an infectious disease doctor who has been tracking the virus and variants for months, and he says it's still safe to open up, but the situation needs to be monitored closely.
It does not necessarily mean we're going to have a massive wave. The variants are there, and I think that these things should be looked at, and we should have concern, but I certainly think that we don't need to panic. And I think that it should be stressed that this is a natural part of viral evolution. So this happening right now is expected.
Health officials say it will be at least a week before they'll know for sure what variant has been found here. Chris.
Thanks for this, Dan. CBC's Dan Takema live tonight. Now, the health unit is also warning people about a potential exposure to a case of the variant. They're asking anyone who visited Zehrs and Tecumseh on February 2nd, so a week ago Tuesday, to monitor for symptoms. Specifically, anyone who went in the store or worked there between 12 and 2 in the afternoon. If you shopped there, if you have symptoms, you should call 211. Students trying to get through a very difficult school year met with another change today. March break is being pushed back to April. Ontario's Minister of Education made the call today, days after students returned to in-class learning here in Windsor-Essex.
The decision is all more important as we move to protect our communities from the emerging variants of this disease. I recognize that this is one more change in a year that has been challenging for so many students and our education staff who continue to work so hard. But it is one made on the best advice of public health officials to keep them safe and to keep our schools open in this province.
Now, the change moves the break to the week of April 12th. As Dale Molnar reports, it sent families and school boards scrambling to pivot once again.
What do you think of it being postponed? Are you sad or are you happy because you get to stay at school longer?
I'm happy.
The province has moved the break week to April to discourage community spread and travel. Parents have different opinions on the move.
I don't think it's a good idea. I believe that the teachers deserve a break just as much as the kids do. They've been working hard.
I think it would be a good idea. Let these teachers have a break from this COVID virus. We never know what's going to happen between now and then.
I agree with it. I know I'm one of the ones that not in the majority of the people that want it to be postponed, but I feel that if they had the March break in March, that they might not come back to school.
The head of the Public Secondary School Teachers Union is wondering what difference 3 weeks makes. She says principals and teachers were not consulted.
I'm still a little unsure as to what a 3-week delay will do. What happens if the variants do take hold and those numbers go up? Are we looking at a change again? If they do go down, is it because you're hoping there's vaccines available? It seems to be there's some missing information, and I just wish that they were more transparent in why they make the decisions they do.
She also says there doesn't seem to be a consensus whether children are safer in school or out of school.
High schools, 15, 16 bodies in a given space for a couple hours at a time. In our elementary schools, you have class sizes of 25 to 27. The data is showing that as in particular students that are under 10 are asymptomatic. So I don't think that they can say that schools aren't a contributor if things are to take hold.
The teachers are also concerned this could play havoc with the scheduling of the quadmester system. The public school board will be making decisions on how it will affect the board's school calendar, such as exams. They expect to know more by the middle of next week. Officials at the Catholic board will meet tomorrow morning to discuss how to juggle their calendar. They should know by the end of the day what changes will be made, but say this won't affect the end of the Catholic secondary school quadmester. However, April 12th was supposed to be the day students were to transition between online and in-class learning if they were making a switch. Officials say that date will now change, but they haven't decided what the new date will be. The declaration dates of March 22nd to March 26th will stand. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
The Windsor-Essex Health Unit provided an update on vaccinations today. Preliminary numbers show that more than 11,000 people have received either the Moderna or Pfizer-BioNTech vaccination. Almost 6,700 have received both doses. This week, the health unit is continuing to distribute Moderna to residents, staff, and essential caregivers in long-term care and retirement homes. They expect the second round of shots to be completed next week. Chatham-Kent's medical officer of health says all high-risk patients in long-term care homes have been vaccinated, except for those living in Fairfield Park. But that should start soon. Fairfield Park currently has 55 active cases. 24 are among residents, 31 are among staff members. The home was struggling with staffing issues at the start of the outbreak. Today, the Red Cross has 10 staff members helping to support the home. Now, so far, 850 doses have been administered in Chatham-Kent when talking about vaccines. The health unit says low-risk retirement homes have not been vaccinated yet. They're waiting on permission from the provincial government. As of midnight last night, the Chatham-Kent Health Alliance is no longer in an outbreak. It had reduced ambulance services, but will resume full care on Tuesday. It turns out not all long-term care residents in the province have received a first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Today, the government had to backtrack on its claim that all homes were now finished their first round. Lorenda Redikoff has been following the story. She has the latest.
This morning, the government said the first round of vaccinations in long-term care homes was completed. It had met the February 10th target. In Sarnia, the host of a local private radio program asked about that, putting the question to the local medical officer of health.
Are we done vaccinating our residents in our long-term care homes in Sarnia-Lambton?
Almost. We're almost there. Okay. So by the end of this week, it should all be wrapped up.
This morning, the NDP also raised questions about the government's claim.
I'm hearing some disturbing suggestions that, in fact, there are still seniors in long-term care and other settings that might not have received their vaccine yet. And if that, in fact, is the case, it's extremely problematic.
I checked with the Ministry of Long-Term Care. It then put out a statement citing a miscommunication, saying we sincerely regret the error.
Well, there was a miscommunication internally, and that's what caused the announcement to be made when there are still a few long-term care homes that still need their residents to be immunized.
The ministry later said 6 of 626 homes are still waiting for that first dose for residents, expected to be finished in the coming days. The dates for these vaccinations has already yo-yoed.
Start rolling out the vaccine into the long-term care homes and again the high-risk retirement homes around the rest of Ontario. And we've set ourselves a goal of 15 February.
The government then moved that date up to February 5th.
We're accelerating vaccinations from our most vulnerable seniors.
It changed it again.
With an updated goal for completion of February 10th.
February 10th was also the deadline for high-risk retirement home residents to get their first vaccine dose. That deadline wasn't met, and it's unclear when it'll happen. Today, the health minister only said that she hopes it'll be in very short order. Lorenda Redikoff, CBC News, Toronto.
CBC News has learned that one of the pandemic tools premiers demanded from Ottawa is now going largely unused in provincial stockpiles. Millions of rapid COVID-19 tests sent out across the country are sitting untouched, and provinces are using just a fraction of what they've received. One expert says these tests could help.
I think the big thing they would allow us to do is to perhaps be a little bit more surgical in our lockdowns, right? So, you know, if you were to bring in a lot of rapid testing, you might be able to keep some industries open that otherwise you may just have to blanket close because you're not sure what's going on. So had we used these in very high numbers, we might have been able to be a little bit less aggressive in our lockdowns.
Now, the use of rapid tests varies from province to province. Prince Edward Island has used the largest percentage of tests that it was sent by the federal government, 25% of its 37,000 tests. Alberta has used the smallest percentage, less than 1%. Sarnia police have charged a Lambton, Kent teacher from the Great Lakes Secondary School with indecent exposure to a person under the age of 16. The public school board there says that the teacher has not been in the school since the allegations were made. They say school staff and the board are fully cooperating with police during the investigation. Police arrested a 60-year-old man. He's expected in court next month. An initiative in Windsor is spotlighting Black-owned businesses. Those behind it say it's a way to celebrate Black History Month and support local shops. With less than 2 weeks, some have already seen their businesses start to go up. CBC's Tamina Aziz reports.
I just want to encourage everyone to buy Black each and every day of Black History Month.
Maxine Shelton says Black entrepreneurs face systemic barriers that prevent their business from moving forward. She wants to help them. She's challenging Windsorites to show their support.
We all know that Black History Month is also known as Black Heritage Month, and it really highlights and celebrates the contributions of people of African descent to the development of Canada. And so I thought perfect month to highlight businesses.
She put together an online directory of more than 100 local Black-owned businesses available on her website. One restaurant owner says she's seen her business up because of it.
We have noticed a change over the past couple of days. Actually, the trends have shown that we've had at least a 95% increase with traffic to our Google site and our website.
That's what we want to hear. We want to hear that this is causing businesses to get exposure and to have more finances as well.
Mwanga calls the initiative phenomenal and something that's needed in Windsor.
This is very important to someone like me because we're not the typical business that you find in Windsor, Ontario. So it definitely is a way to shine a light on the diversity that exists here in Windsor, Ontario, and also to bring awareness.
Shelton hopes the challenge will lead to long-term allies in the community.
We can make a difference by choosing every single day to purchase and buy from a Black-led or Black-owned business, and that in doing so that you're a part of the solution.
Tamina Aziz, CBC News, Windsor.
If you've taken a walk or driven down Riverside Drive, you may have noticed something a little different out in Detroit. GM's changed its well-known logo that it's had for 112 years. Now that new logo flashes on the Renaissance Center, the company's headquarters. The logo change comes on the heels of GM announcing its launch of some 30 new battery-powered vehicles by the end of 2025. Another look outside here, you can see the snow all over the place, but the streets are dry. It's nice to see the sun out a little bit later, too. We got it all going on today. Colette Kennedy joins us with the forecast coming up. Nearly 2 years after a national inquiry, there's a new project to raise awareness of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And it's giving voice to many who have not shared their stories before. Olivia Stefanovic reports. Oh, sorry about that, we've got the wrong tape here. We're actually going to take you to a story about this weekend's election in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's being put on hold indefinitely for nearly half the province. It's because of a sudden spike in COVID-19 cases in the area around St. John's. It has election officials suspending in-person voting there on Saturday. It's one of 18 districts on the Avalon Peninsula in southeastern Newfoundland that's affected.
I know there was a lot of anxiety and stress around voting in person, particularly with the increasing numbers. So I think this is a welcomed pause.
Now, there's scores of election workers in the St. John's area that have either quit or said they wouldn't show up on polling day due to fears of contracting or spreading COVID-19. Now, voting's still going to go ahead as scheduled in the rest of the province. There will be mail-in ballots, but the election results will not be released until all of the voting is completed. Now, there's a polar vortex that continues to hold the prairies in an icy grip. Temperatures have plunged below -40 Celsius, and new cold weather records, they're being set across the region. It's triggered serious concerns about the welfare of the people who are homeless. In Winnipeg, a coalition of Indigenous volunteers and organizers have come together to help the homeless stay warm. CBC's Leonard Munkman has more.
Take it up at the bottom and we lift up.
EJ Fontaine brought his teepee to the Thunderbird House to help those who've been sleeping in bus shelters. Concerned about the situation, he and his wife decided to spring into action. They put out a call for donations, warm clothing, and set up what is now being called the Community Caring Camp.
It's intended to provide a safe, warm place for homeless people. And, majority of the homeless people are our people, Indigenous people, so we want to make sure that they're safe and they have a place to come when this cold snap is here. Because the last thing we want to see is our people dying, freezing out in the streets.
The camp includes 2 teepees and a prospector tent, all heated with firewood donated from the community. In just a few days, they have received hundreds of dollars in donations to buy things like winter boots, toques, ski pants, and mitts. The work is being led by Winnipeg's grassroots Indigenous community, including Riley Niepenak.
The community is coming together in response to somebody freezing and passing away because of the harsh cold. We're coming together to provide a safe space where people can warm up, get some food in their bellies, and get some warm supplies as well.
While the organizers understand that this is a temporary solution, they would like to see a long-term strategy in place to help the homeless population.
I'd like to see more affordable housing for them. Maybe apartments where they can live. I mean, I've seen in other cities, and I've traveled a lot in other cities. They take real efforts to try and provide affordable housing for homeless people.
Organizers and volunteers plan to keep the fire burning and to hand out donations for the next 2 weeks. Leonard Munkman, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Joining us now for a live look at the weather is Colette Kennedy. You could feel the cold just watching that. Those frigid temperatures still here in Windsor, too.
Yeah, today our daytime high, Chris, was -6 after a low of -12, and that's actually warmer than it was yesterday. It's pretty incredible when we're talking about those kinds of numbers. And we sit at the moment at -7 here in Windsor, Chatham-Kent -8, -7 for Leamington. But factor in those winds, and this is what it comes to, where we have that wind chill -13, and that'll be dipping overnight tonight. You see a little bit of flurry activity here around Sarnia and some of the cloud cover that's been pressing towards us, but really, if you're looking for some snowfall, I do have some light snowfall. I know, some more coming into the forecast. Now, not so much into Friday, just we have this chance late overnight tonight towards tomorrow morning of getting into some flurries passing through our skies. Otherwise, we're just going to have a little extra cloud cover. But as we go forward, we're going to see that into Saturday, into the morning, kind of starting out as widespread light flurries as this next system's going to be coming in. But the storm track is pressing just a little bit further north, and that's really going to be changing our short-term future in terms of the snow and the systems that are going to be coming through and how they'll have an impact on us. So as we get into the day on Saturday, we'll see more of a widespread. So it starts off as some flurries earlier, and then we get into more of a widespread light snowfall that's going to come into into the province, and that carries on into the evening hours and then passes through. In terms of the amounts, 4 to perhaps 5 centimeters coming through with this one, and I said there's more in the future. Yeah, if we look ahead towards Tuesday, Monday night into Tuesday, another one, and then as we get towards Thursday, it looks like we're going to have another one coming through the area. So for tonight, even a little milder than last night in terms of our temperature at -10, but there it is. I mentioned the wind chills. I mean, they're pretty significant here when we're into the minus upper teens. Tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny. It'll be a little bit variable, so at times you should get into a little more sunshine, especially towards Sarnia and over towards London, a little less so here towards Windsor. And then look ahead. There's Saturday and that system that goes through. Look at the overnight lows and what happens again. They're back in that -12, -13 range in terms of what we'll be seeing. Now, we get a little bit of a breather on Sunday. I don't mean from the cold, that's in place till about mid next week, but we get a little breather from the systems coming through, so not active on Sunday. Monday, the clouds start to press in as that next system is appearing, and like I said, kind of overnight, Monday into Tuesday is when we're going to get another one coming in with light snow. That one might give us more than that 4 to 5 centimeters, Chris, but I'll keep you posted on that.
No, absolutely. And just to keep you posted, just before we came on air, we spotted somebody outside running in this cold temperature with gloves, a hat, no shirt. It was an interesting choice.
No shirt? I thought you were going to say shorts, but that's even worse.
Well, the shorts were there, but it was no t-shirt, no nothing. Hey, do whatever you want, but I don't know how that could be comfortable.
They must have gotten warm and just threw it away.
Yeah, he was running pretty fast.
I don't know how.
He was scooting. Anyways, thanks for this, Colette.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now, coming up next, we are going to take you to that story about the new project to raise awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in Canada. Nearly 2 years after a national inquiry, a new project is giving voice to many who have not shared their stories before to raise awareness of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Olivia Stefanovic reports.
To all Canadians.
When the Prime Minister accepted the final report into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, Justin Trudeau held the culmination of hundreds of stories, detailing the suffering and resilience of their families.
I thank them, all of them, for their courage.
But the closing ceremonies didn't mark the end of the tragedy. Margaret Bird's mom, Happy Charles, disappeared during the inquiry. Bird didn't have a chance to testify.
I try and live by the last words she told me, and that's I'll try every day.
Those words sent Bird on a quest to find another way to honor her mother, a search that's led to a new project focused on the untold stories of the inquiry. For Bird, it's about her mom.
She would always teach us to be kind and to forgive.
We Dance for Life is an Indigenous-led campaign connecting approximately 180 family members with artists.
These are flowers here.
They will be creating pieces of art over the coming months to remember their loved ones and document their experiences with loss.
It's also very important that we do it during this time as well because people are isolated.
We Dance for Life is one of more than 100 projects being launched through a $13 million commemoration fund from Ottawa, set up after the inquiry ended to support relatives of the missing and murdered.
The families and survivors will continue to have a voice.
If public health measures allow, the families will gather this summer in ceremony to finish their artwork. The pieces will then be toured across the country, raising awareness and immortalizing their loved ones. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, we told you about those record-setting temperatures in the prairies. Now, Saskatchewan's seeing that too, but it's also seeing a beautiful view in the night skies as well. Take a look at this. The bitter cold, it might be just a little bit easier when you can look at this right outside your window. The northern lights, just some amazing shots here, taken by an off-duty paramedic in L'Orange who used some spare time to bravely venture out and capture these pictures here. Just a dazzling display. So, well, certainly not ideal weather for outdoor adventures. You know, just picture a nice day snowshoeing under a sky like that. That's it for us here at CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media too. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Thanks for watching.